Hello and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I'm Jawad Tuhami and these are the headlines. Pakistan says it will continue to extend political, diplomatic and moral support to Kashmiris until the realization of their right to self-determination. Visiting the line of control along with foreign media representatives, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the people of Indian-occupied Kashmir have rejected New Delhi's illegal actions of 5th of August. In Afghanistan, at least 24 people have been killed during the ongoing attack by ISIS on a prison in the eastern city of Jalalabad. A spokesperson for the provincial governor says 43 others have been injured as security forces battled the heavily armed militants. Last night, some 30 ISIS fighters attacked the prison, leading to a mass jailbreak. The global number of COVID-19 cases has crossed 18 million, with the death tally exceeding 689,000. Brazil has reported 541 deaths and nearly 26,000 infections in the last 24 hours, increasing the tally to over 2.7 million. In Pakistan, 8 more people have died, while 330 have tested positive for the virus overnight. The country's death toll has reached 5,984, with over 280,000 confirmed cases. US President Donald Trump has given China's ByteDance 45 days to negotiate a sale of its video blogging app TikTok with Microsoft. In a statement, Microsoft said it will continue negotiations to buy the app by 15th of September. Washington says TikTok poses a national security risk because of the personal data it handles. Richie Verneski has claimed his maiden PGA Tour victory at the Barracuda Championship. Verneski began the day 7 points behind third-round leader Troy Merritt, but he made 3 birdies and an eagle in his final 7 holes to surge past Merritt and win the championship. Those were the headlines and detailed stories. Right after a short break, stay tuned. Welcome back, and now with the news in detail. Pakistan says it will continue to extend political, diplomatic and moral support to the Kashmiris until the realization of their right to self-determination. Visiting the line of control along with foreign media representatives, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the people of Indian-occupied Kashmir reject New Delhi's illegal actions of 5th of August. Qureshi said there is a new wave of resentment against the atrocities being committed by the Indian occupation forces. Defense Minister Parvez Khattak and National Security Advisor Mueed Yusuf accompanied Qureshi to express solidarity with the victims of Indian fightings. Military officials briefed the delegation about the unprovoked ceasefire violations by Indian forces at the line of control. Meanwhile, former Indian Finance Minister Palaniappan Chidambaram has criticized the government's harsh policies in occupied Kashmir. He said Modi's government has failed to achieve any positive results following August 5th actions. In an interview, the Indian politician called Kashmir a big jail in which Modi's government is trying to quell a freedom struggle. He said abrogation of occupied Kashmir's special status was intended to intimidate millions of Kashmiris into submission. Chidambaram said all the major fundamental rights and effectively suspended in Jammu and Kashmir. He also added that a free media has no place in occupied Kashmir. In Afghanistan, at least 24 people have been killed during the ongoing attack by ISIS on a prison in the eastern city of Jalalabad. A spokesperson for the provincial governor says 43 others have been injured as security forces battle the heavily armed militants. Last night, some 30 ISIS fighters attacked the prison with a bomb, leading to a mass jailbreak. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack. This comes a day after the Afghan intelligence agency claimed security forces had killed senior commander of the militants near Jalalabad. Iran has announced sanctions on former White House National Security aide and founding member of a critical Washington think tank, Richard Goldberg. In a statement, Foreign Ministry accused Goldberg of playing an active role in economic terrorism against Iran and its citizens. Responding, Goldberg said it was an honor to work for White House National Security Council. He said that he dedicates the sanctions announcement to people of Iran who yearn for peace and freedom. Goldberg is a known coordinator of the maximum pressure policy against Iran and worked under former NSA advisor John Bolton. Yemen's Houthis say the Saudi-led coalition forces have released an oil tanker, Dobra, detained for nearly 4 months. In a statement, a rebel-controlled Yemen petroleum company said the tanker, carrying nearly 26,000 tons of gasoline, has reached Hodeidah port. The company said it is preparing for the start of the pumping and discharging process. It said coalition forces are still holding 16 tankers, including 2 carrying diesel, 2 loaded with domestic gas, while the rest are carrying diesel. The statement says the released amount of gasoline is enough to meet the needs for only 5 days. Coalition forces have not commented on the claim yet. Moving on, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has railed at swelling protests against his rule. At a cabinet meeting, he accused the country's media of inflaming the protests. He said the biased media distorts facts and cheers on the demonstrators. Thousands of Israelis have taken to the streets to demand Netanyahu's resignation over corruption and coronavirus mismanagement. But Netanyahu rejected the demonstrators' call to step down. The global number of COVID-19 cases has crossed 18 million, with the death toll exceeding 688,000. Brazil has reported 541 deaths and nearly 26,000 infections in the last 24 hours, increasing the tally to over 2.7 million. In the US, the death toll has neared 155,000, with over 4.6 million infections. This report has more.
Global markets have started retreating as COVID-19 surge threatens a rollback of economic revival steps and lifting of restrictions. Latin America and now the Caribbean are being hit hard by the virus. Over in Asia, India is the worst hit country, reporting over 50,000 cases daily, while a second wave appears to be gaining momentum in Iran. Philippines is reimposing its lockdown as the country struggles to contain the outbreak with more than 100,000 infections and 2,000 deaths.
I have heard the call of different groups from the medical community for a 2-week enhanced community quarantine, SEQ, in Mega Manila. I fully understand why your health workers would like to ask for such a timeout period. They have been in the front lines for months and are exhausted.
Second coming of the virus in Europe, after spiking in Spain, is now threatening Italy, where cluster infections are emerging. Meanwhile, Britain says it will soon roll out a new coronavirus test capable of detecting the virus within 90 minutes. In Australia, the state of Victoria is imposing its first nightly curfew as it struggles to deal with surging cases.
So there will be a curfew across metropolitan Melbourne from 8 p.m. this evening, and it will run from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. each and every day. And the only reason to be out of your home between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. is to get care, to give care, or to go to and from work or be at work. We can no longer have people visiting others. We can no longer have people simply out and about for no good reason whatsoever.
Meanwhile, in Beijing, An unending string of domestically transmitted cases continues to worry China. South Korea has reported 23 new cases of the coronavirus amid a downward trend in the number of locally infected patients.
Moreover, India has reported over 50,000 daily new cases of the new coronavirus for the fifth consecutive day. The health ministry said the country's total cases have crossed 1.8 million, with 771 fatalities overnight, taking the toll to over 38,000. During a cabinet meeting, Health Minister Harish Vardhan said only 1 in 3 positive cases nationwide were under medical care. After Indian authorities eased the lockdown in several cities across India in July, the number of cases reported has almost doubled. Health Ministry stats show the month of July alone accounted for more than 1.1 million cases in India. India's federal fiscal deficit has also touched a record high $88.5 billion as the country struggles to open up its economy amid a raging pandemic. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, the daily new coronavirus cases continue to decline as the country reported just over 300 new infections on the third day of Eid al-Adha. The health ministry said 8 more people have died in the past 24 hours, raising the total to 5,984. The ministry said out of 280,000 cases detected so far, nearly 249,000 have recovered from the virus. It said there are now over 25,000 active cases in the country, with 1,038 in critical condition. Sindh remains the worst hit province with over 121,000 infections, while Punjab has reported over 93,000 cases. In the northern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, there are over 34,000 cases detected, while Balochistan recorded over 11,000 cases. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says President Donald Trump will take action in coming days on Chinese software companies. In an interview, Pompeo said Chinese companies feed data to Beijing, posing a national security threat to the U.S. Earlier, Trump said he could ban Chinese-owned video sharing app TikTok in the U.S. U.S. security officials have expressed concern that the app could be used to collect the personal data of the Americans. TikTok has denied the accusations that it is controlled by or shares data with the Chinese government. The two countries are at odds over a number of issues, including trade disputes and Beijing's handling of the coronavirus outbreak. The U.S. says the presidential election will be held in the country on the 3rd of November. In an interview, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said President Donald Trump is going to win the election. Meadows said the president was raising concerns about mail-in ballots when he floated the idea of delaying the U.S. vote. Presidential campaign advisor Jason Miller criticized the efforts by states for expanding mail-in balloting during coronavirus. Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson said the election should be held on time. Earlier, Trump suggested delaying the U.S. election, which was rejected by both the Democrats and his fellow Republicans in Congress. Venezuela's main opposition parties have announced to boycott legislative elections scheduled for the 6th of December. In a statement, the 27 opposing parties say the polls will be rigged by the ruling Socialist Party. The statement said the nation is subject to a humanitarian crisis due to the oppressive dictatorship. It also said the country deserves free and transparent democratic elections. Some opposition politicians have floated the idea to extending the current Congress's term past its scheduled January 2021 expiry. It's time for a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. 5 soldiers have been killed and another 5 wounded in twin attacks blamed on militants in central Mali. Officials said a military convoy was ambushed en route from the village of Gomakora to Diable town. Officials said 4 pickup trucks and an armored vehicle were missing after the attack. Meanwhile, in another attack, Mali's army said a camp at Gomakora came under artillery fire. It said some vehicles were destroyed, but the casualties on the enemy side were not yet known. Libya says it has detained 55 irregular migrants of different nationalities on the Mediterranean coast of the country. Libya's Interior Ministry said the migrants were caught when Coast Guards raided a warehouse in coastal Zlatan city. The Interior Ministry said 4 women and 6 children were among those held, and 1 human trafficker was also arrested during the operation. The Mediterranean is the most preferred route by the migrants from Africa who try to cross to Europe through Italy and Malta. Thousands of illegal migrants in Libya who are either rescued from the sea or arrested by the authorities remain detained in overcrowded shelters. International Organization for Migration has repeatedly called to shut down these shelters and provide better assistance to these migrants. Spain's firefighters and military emergency personnel are battling to control a wildfire in the Madrid region amid blistering heat. Emergency services said the blaze burned through the night and forced the evacuation of several houses. The services activated level 2 alert as 26 crews of the Forest Brigade's firefighters and a section of the emergency unit fight the blaze. It said the cause of the fire cannot be confirmed yet, which comes amid a heat wave across Europe. Head of the community of Madrid fire guard, Luis Rincon, has said the fire is quite unstable at this point. He said the Red Cross has set up a shelter for the evicted people, offering kits for personal hygiene, food and drinks until they can return to their homes. A 9-year-old Pakistani girl has set a world record by becoming the fastest and youngest in the world to arrange the elements of the periodic table. Natalia Najam achieved the Guinness World Record title after arranging all the elements of the periodic chart in just 2 minutes and 42 seconds. The previous record was held by an Indian professor, Meenakshi Agarwal, who completed the same task in 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Natalia broke the previous record by completing the task with 7 seconds to spare. Her father, Hassan Najam, says his daughter has not received formal schooling and has been educated at home. The young Pakistani girl hopes that her achievement will inspire children around the world to continue taking strides in science and pursue careers in the field. In China, a truck driver has risked his life driving the burning vehicle away from a populated area to make sure no one was caught in a potential explosion. The truck accidentally caught fire following a scheduled tune-up in northeastern Shangchun city. Driver Sun Gang drove the burning truck for about 4 kilometers to an open area where the fuel tank exploded. 5 minutes later, he left the vehicle. The surrounding area where the vehicle caught fire was densely populated and there was a gas station nearby. Meanwhile, China's leading automaker gifted Sun one of its flagship trucks in recognition of his selfless service. NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken have returned to Earth after a 2-month stay on the International Space Station. The crew's SpaceX Dragon capsule splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico. Voyage was NASA's first crewed mission from home soil in 9 years. Behnken and Hurley reached land following a 21-hour overnight journey aboard Crew Dragon Endeavour. The successful splashdown was a final key test of whether Elon Musk's spacecraft can transport astronauts to and from orbit. The crew spent an hour floating inside the capsule before joint recovery teams from SpaceX and NASA retrieved them from a helicopter trip ashore. The mission was launched from NASA's Kennedy Space Center on May the 31st. US President Donald Trump has given China's ByteDance 45 days to negotiate a sale of its video blogging app TikTok with Microsoft. In a statement, Microsoft said it will continue negotiations to buy the app by 15th of September. Microsoft said it will also take over TikTok's operations in Canada, Australia and New Zealand if the deal goes through. It said it will ensure that all private data belonging to TikTok's American users is transferred to and remains in the US. Earlier on Friday, Trump dismissed the idea of a Microsoft sale when he said he will ban the app in the US. Washington said TikTok poses a national security risk because of the personal data it handles. European stocks are trading mixed as another big week for corporate earnings kicked off. Investors are treading carefully as US lawmakers attempt to hammer out a new coronavirus aid package. The pan-European stock 600 gained 0.5%, with tech and chemical stocks rising over 1% to lead gains. London's FTSE slipped marginally. Germany's DAX has climbed over 1%, while Paris's CAC 40 has also edged up fractionally. Earlier, stocks in the Asia-Pacific traded mixed. Japanese bourses, Chinese shares and South Korea's Kospi gained, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng and Australia's ASX 200 slipped. Richie Verneski has claimed his maiden PGA Tour victory at the Barracuda Championship. Verneski began the day 7 points behind third-round leader Troy Merritt, but he made 3 birdies and an eagle in his final 7 holes to surge past fellow American. Merritt had a chance to seal the victory, but his birdie putt came up just short and he finished on 38 points. Fabian Gomez and Matthias Schwab finished in a tie for third at 37 points. But the situation from around the globe. And that is all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News.